Hi everyone, welcome to Data Transformation with PaLM AI, or PaLM API, depending upon how you look at it. As you probably know, I am a freelance software developer. In 2021 and 2022, I did some work for a client, and they had an on-premise system which stores patient information for different municipalities here in Denmark. The task I was given was to send this data through a gateway, and that gateway supported the FHIR protocol. So to do that, the data would need to be reformatted. I call these kinds of projects data transformation projects because that's basically what I'm doing. I'm transforming the data from one format into another, or from one model into another. I really enjoy these kind of projects because it's normally just a few microservices, an input and output, a transform, and that's it. I'm done and dusted. However, transforming data from one data model to another is rarely that simple. I ended up using AutoMapper, as I normally do, to help me map the objects. And this worked fine, but the time that it took me to set up this complex mapping system was quite extensive. We're talking about weeks, and it probably took me a few more weeks to configure a testing framework enough that I felt confident to say that there were no errors, because this is patient data. There can be no errors when we are transforming this data. The input came in the form of data rows and columns from an SQL database. FHIR objects are a lot more complex. I got to thinking last night while making dinner, and this is a habit that I have while cooking. I tend to code in my head, and it just seems to go hand in hand, and it works for me. Could I use PaLM API to simplify the process of data transformation and make it faster? Could I let PaLM transform the data for me? And that's where I had the idea for this video, and I thought we'd take a look at it today. We're going to make this a little bit easier, though. I don't actually have access to that client's data anymore. So we're just going to start with a simple JSON object with a name and a birth date. And I will ask it to create the body for a create resource of type patient for the FHIR protocol. Now, if you've never heard of FHIR protocol, well, I'm not that surprised. From my understanding, it's a worldwide industry standard for storage of medical data. And it seems that the government here in Denmark has adopted it. And it's a huge protocol. It's a huge model. There's a lot of complexities in it. But like I said, we're just going to do this one body just to test and see if it'll work. So here's what the actual body looks like for a resource create of type patient would look like. As you can see, it doesn't look anything like my source data. Currently, we have only one name field, we have no gender, and the date formats are different. The date format from the source data is actually in day, month, year, whereas FHIR requires it to be year, month, day. So that makes it a lot harder, and of course we have no gender. So can we do this with AutoMapper or some other type of system? Sure, we can. We definitely could, and it'll work fine. But could we also do it with PaLM? Could we do it with an AI? Could we ask an AI to transform data from one format to another format? My guess is that we can, but let's try together. Let's walk through this. And what you're going to see is my actual hands-on. I haven't tested this yet, so I don't actually know what's going to happen. So we're going to do this together and see what happens. All right, so how am I going to start this? I guess we're going to tell it that we're going to give it JSON objects. So I am going to give you a source JSON object and a destination JSON object. And what do we want it to do? So I want you to transform the data in the source object to the destination, to the okay, let's start there. That looks good. All right, this is the source object. Now, one of the nice things for testing is that we can go ahead and add a internal prompt. So I think we should give it the format for the date, right? The birth date format is mm-dd-yy. There. Okay, so that looks good. So now we are going to give it the destination object, right? So this is the destination object. Now notice how I always put them in apostrophes. It just seems to better to quote it. It just seems to work better. So there. So now I've given it the two objects, and the date format for the there. So now we've given it the date formats for both. So now it knows those, right? I found that giving it the date format just helps. Please return the destination object with the values given in the source object, right? Now, let's try this and see what it can figure out. Well, it did it. It not only did it figure out his birth date, but it split them up and it found the gender. Well, there we go. It seems to have grabbed his birth date and the first name and the last name. Now, what happens if we give him a middle name? Let's call him Peter. John Peter Smith. There we go. And see if it can do it. No, it didn't. Why didn't it? That's strange. John Mark Smith. There. It seems to have grabbed it now. So that's pretty good. But what happens if we say John Peter Smith Jr.? Now, I've been playing with these names for a while, and it doesn't seem to always grab these, and I'm not sure why. I've been playing with the temperature, and I suspect it has something to do with that. Let's try telling it that the given is an array of strings. Is an array of given names. And see if we can't force it to do it. There we go. Yeah, so that looks right. What if we give him John Peter Mark Smith? And they keep going. Yeah, John Peter Mark Smith. So that works. As you can see, this only took me 5 minutes to work out how to get it parsing from one JSON to another, transforming the data for me. So this probably would have saved me so much time if I did it this way. Now, yes, I don't think that I could have used it on that project because that project was transforming millions of rows of patient data. But this will show you that if you do need to transform data from one model to another, you can use the API. You could definitely use PaLM API to transform data from one format to another, because technically speaking, transforming data is just like transforming it from one language to another. When I transform it from Danish to English or English to Danish, it's the same thing. We're just transforming data from one pattern to another, pattern being the language. Here, we're transforming one JSON object into another JSON object, and it works fine. I think it might be fun to try and see if it could figure out something along the lines like XML to JSON. Can it parse that? That'd be kind of cool to try, and maybe I might try that in another video. But what do you think? I mean, what do you think you could use PaLM API and MakerSuite to do? Because I'm just testing this in MakerSuite because it's easier. I can send all of this through PaLM and get the exact same results. MakerSuite just lets us test and develop our prompts. That's all it does. And then we just add it through the API. So it makes life so much easier using MakerSuite to test stuff, because I've had so many ideas and I just sit here and I play around in MakerSuite to see if I can get it to do what I want. And then when I do, I make videos for you guys, or I write tutorials. So, you know, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked this video, and I will keep putting out more AI type videos for developers, because I think that developers need to realize that, yes, ChatGPT and Bard and, you know, PaLM API, MakerSuite, all of these are really new, and we have just touched the surface of what we can do with these types of systems, and we haven't even realized it yet. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do. Well, I guess that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, and I hope you had a good time. I definitely learned something. Make sure you get your date formats right. Snicker says hi from the background, and I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.